Last year, facing more than 700 wildfires, Ontario's fire rangers worked tirelessly under very difficult conditions to keep people, property, and our communities safe. Our government recognizes the pressure and physical stress that wildland fire rangers face every season, especially during high fire seasons like last year's. But fire rangers love their job, and the government is here to support them. We know there are challenges in wildland firefighting, and the government is taking steps to address these concerns. So today I'm pleased to announce an investment of more than $5 million to help attract, retain, and recognize wildland firefighters in 2024. In recognition of the service wildland firefighters and pilots perform amidst challenging and often dangerous conditions, an incentive payment of $5,000 will be provided to employees in frontline positions for the 2024 fire season. And in recognition of the valuable support they provide, support staff in the Aviation, Forest Fire, and Emergency Services branch at the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry will receive a one-time payment of $1,000. More than 1,000 staff will benefit from this incentive. This incentive payment builds on the government's ongoing efforts to support wildland fire ranger staff, including expanding eligibility for standby and on-call pay, reimbursing eligible expenses related to training and other mandatory courses, and providing $500 annually towards the cost of special safety boots. But we're not stopping there. The government is also taking action to support the wildland fire program with the creation of more than 100 permanent positions. These positions will contribute to building leadership and experience within our wildland fire program by adding new year-round positions and staff that will support a career path and opportunities for fire rangers and other staff in the future. Working as a fire ranger is a rewarding and challenging career, and I am grateful to all those that have answered the call. We are calling on Ontarians with a sense of adventure, the ability to work in challenging conditions, and a call for public service to join our team. I want to thank our staff, those on the front line, in the offices, in the warehouses, and in the air, who are doing the very important work of fighting wildland fires while keeping Ontarians safe. Your government's here to support you, and we thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
Minister, why not class the fire rangers as firefighters are classed in Ontario? So they have that same pay, the same benefits, they're doing the same work, are they not?
Yeah, there's ongoing conversations that are taking place between the Ministry and Treasury Board and Labour, so those conversations will continue. We know that's an important conversation.
You're in favor of this? You're looking at doing that?
So, it's a long process and one that's kind of ongoing right now, so I don't want to comment on, where the process is at, but it's one that I'm certainly glad we're doing the review, and we'll wait and see the outcome of that.
So $5 million is the new expenditure for this program this year?
$5 million in total, yes.
Can you sort of break down where the money's going?
So $5,000 is the incentive payment for the frontline firefighters, and then $1,000 payment for those that are part of the system but aren't quite on the front line.
You're confident that this will attract enough fire rangers?
Yeah, our recruitment window has been open already this year, and we're at or slightly above where we were last year in terms of the number of people that we have. We think this will be an important piece, though, in terms of attracting more people and being able to form more crews to continue to work to keep Ontarians safe.
We've already seen a tough wildfire season in the States. It started early out west in Canada. To what degree do you think climate change is playing a role there, and will it play a role here in Ontario?
Certainly when we look at the 10-year average, we're seeing more fires per year. There's a lot of variability in that. Certainly climate change is, an active area of conversation and a concern. But we want to make sure that we're ready for any type of season, whether it's a severe season like we had in 2023. In 2022, we had, a much milder season. But this is all about being prepared and making sure that we can answer the call to keep communities, infrastructure, individuals safe. It's also about making sure that we can help fellow jurisdictions in Canada. So, whether it's Alberta or BC or Northwest Territories where we provided help last year, we want to be able to take those opportunities to make sure that, Canadians as a whole are safe.
Why is this a one-time payment and not a salary increase?
So this is specifically for 2024. There'll be other opportunities through the regular collective bargaining process to look at any future adjustments. I don't want to presuppose what they would be, but right now in 2024, this is the program for today.
Well, as I'm sure you know, it's not just recruitment, it's been retention that's been an issue within the fire service. So do you not worry that giving people $5,000 this year might help you this summer, but as you've said, the fires are getting worse, the summers are getting worse on average. We look to next year, and firefighters are effectively potentially being paid $5,000 less next year than they are this year. And
so, yeah, I don't think you should presuppose that the conversation ends, begins and ends in 2024. Again, we'll be looking at other long-term strategies around retention. We know that the firefighters that we bring on board today that are learning from those that have experience are going to be those that teach tomorrow. So we want a continuum of people coming in and staying. So with this $5,000, we're recognizing those that are both entering the system, but those that have been part of it as well.
And those 100 permanent positions, where will they be and what jobs will they be?
They're kind of scattered throughout AFFES. There are a number of seasonal and temporary that have been moved into a full-time classification and the creation of some net new positions as well.
Bill 124, firefighters were capped by that in Northern Ontario, forest firefighters. Do you have an update on whether they've had money, whether they're in reopening clause, anything like that?
Bill 124, you'd have to talk to our friends at Treasury Board about that. Yeah.
Minister, while I have you here, can I ask about the Ontario Parks website? There's this loophole that's been discussed a lot where you can effectively book further in advance than the 5 months that's allowed if you book for longer than you actually want to stay and then cancel the dates before you actually go. Do you have any plans to change that?
Unfortunately, parks don't really fall under my bailiwick anymore. That's part of MECP, so I'm sure Minister Khanjin and her office would be able to provide some answers on that, but I know that she's right on top of everything and always willing to look at any situation that requires her attention.
With this announcement, I mean, it's good news you're calling people up in your speech. Do you think you have a good relationship with AFFES and with the forest firefighters at the moment?
I do. Listen, I have the utmost respect for them. And we had a meeting with many of the OPSU folks last summer. I thought it was a really productive meeting. I listened very intently. They listened intently, and I hope that message that they heard was one of gratitude from me and from the government and the Premier for the work that they do. It is not easy work. It is challenging. It's work that most people don't want to do, quite frankly, but they're the ones that have answered the call. They're the ones that have stepped up. They're the ones that are doing it, and we want to recognize them appropriately.
There was some criticism last summer that you didn't really hold regular briefings during the summer when the fires were at their worst. Will we expect to see you more often this summer if it's equally intense in Northern Ontario?
Yeah, I think we'll take a look, at the time and see what is needed in terms of updates. Last year was a very busy fire season in Ontario. It was much busier elsewhere, but we, put information out every day in terms of where we're at in terms of statistics during fire season.
A lot of people are ringing the alarm bells about what we could see in Ontario. Fingers crossed we don't. But how concerned are you? What are you hearing about what we could see on the fire front this year?
Yeah, I've had lots of conversations with leaders in the North, try and stay in regular contact with both municipalities and First Nations to get a sense of what they're hearing, what they're thinking. I think there's some concern that there hasn't been a lot of snow in Northern Ontario, both in the Northwest and the Northeast this year. You can't draw a straight line from that to, it's going to be a very severe fire season because there could be weather conditions throughout the spring and summer that mitigate or temper that. But I think, we're all taking a very realistic, eyes wide open view of what we need to do to prepare for the fire season that's ahead of us. And it could be one that has some intensity and it may be different than that.
Some fire chiefs are calling for a sort of national fire advisor like the U.S.'s FEMA type system. What do you think about that?
So we've got a good relationship with the federal government right now in terms of the way that we share and coordinate resources. And I talked about our firefighters going to other jurisdictions and helping out, just as we have had firefighters from other jurisdictions come to Ontario and assist. And last year we had international firefighters come from Mexico and provide a hand as well. So, there is a great network of assistance out there and mutual aid agreements. I think it's always worth a conversation with the federal government about the role that they can play, the assistance that they can provide, and those conversations are certainly going to be ones that I'm sure are raised the next time that we're all together at an FPT meeting.
With those international firefighters, there have been some concerns from local wildland firefighters that they're not the best prepared. Some from Mexico come with machetes, which don't really work in a forest. Certainly they're, very helpful, but is this something that you want to cut down on, get more firefighters from Ontario?
Listen, I think, we've got amazing crews here, and if we have more people doing that job, and we can look after things here, that's great. At the same time, I don't envision a world where we'll, or any jurisdiction, won't require assistance from time to time. And I'm just appreciative of any jurisdiction that wants to share their resources, share their people, and help out.
Is the government prepared to spend more than $5 million if this turns out to be a really bad fire season?
Well, this is specifically around recruitment and retention. As we go through the fire season, we spend money in season as required to make sure that we're getting the job done. You'll know that we've raised the base budget for wildland firefighting in Ontario from shy of $70 million to almost $135 million since this government has been in power. We take wildland firefighting very seriously to make sure it's adequately resourced, both on the human resource side and on the equipment side.
The federal government appears set to forego the environmental assessment for Highway 413. As Minister of Natural Resources, does it concern you that this highway will pass through sensitive areas of the Greenbelt, sensitive waterways, Minister?
Listen, I think our government has been very clear on the fact that we want to develop Highway 413, and we've been responsible about that. The relationship between the provincial and federal governments is one that sometimes there's some tension in it, but I'll leave it to my friends at Transportation to talk more about that and other ministries. What I can say is that Highway 413 has been something that our government has been behind all the way, and we want to make sure that commuters and people in that area that are going to benefit from it, will see it built.
What the North Bay Fire Chief was talking to CTV, he was saying there's a backlog of equipment purchases. Is that something that the province could step in and help with?
So on the municipal side, are you referring to trucks and things like that, or?
Yeah, just equipment to fight wildland fires.
Oh, for wildland fires. Well, always happy to have conversations with our municipal partners. I mean, they're hugely important as we go through every fire season. We've got a Fire Smart program to help with communities preparing for wildland fire season, and money made available to them. So always happy to have a conversation. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Minister.
Take care.